I'm not like a serious record collector. Like, I know a lot of people who are much more serious about stuff. I mean, I've got a lot of records, but I don't really think of it as collecting because I listen to them and get pleasure out of them. So it's not like they're in a frame on a wall. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
You're not a digger?
No, I once this really giant cockroach came out of a pile of records I was looking at in America, and it just, I don't like cockroach. When you've been looking for more than 20, 30 minutes, your brain just kind of fogs, it just kind of shuts down. We have to start here, don't we? I mean, Alan Vega's a person who was, for me, influential because I saw him perform, I think, in the early 90s in Sheffield, just him and Marty Rev, and he stuck in my mind as one of my favourite concerts because I loved his movements, and he's going, lots of his singing isn't even words, it's just like noises with a lot of echo on it.
Came from nowhere to St. Francis Street. Jukebox baby, I played a new beat. Cadillac came, watch for the heat.
You know, what I find interesting about the Philips label is that, so you've got like Gainsbourg, you've got Jacques Brel, and then you've got like the swingle singers. But also like stuff, I don't know if I can find it here, but like they did records by, you know, the Pierre Henry kind of stuff. So there was quite a kind of experimental kind of music as well. They were quite big on that. I would buy records from charity shops because they would be cheap. I was living on virtually no money, so I couldn't afford to buy new records really. So I would just look through, and so I looked at this and I saw this guy here, and I thought, wow, that looks technical. And often when you buy something just because the cover looks good, you get back and realize the cover is the best thing about the record. But this time, when I got back, and I laid on the bed and I put this record on, and I heard these funny noises. So I thought, oh yeah, experimental. Okay, could be good for Halloween, but whatever. And then, you know, so that, you know, that totally blew my mind, you know, because it was like, you can imagine some people doing some kind of dancing in a 60s party, but then somebody's doing this kind of all these noises. It was just, I had no kind of frame of reference for that as a piece of music. I just thought, where has that come from, you know? And I love that when you suddenly, yeah, listen. You know, when you just get like something opens up your horizons, you realise you've been looking at music like this, and then suddenly it could be like this, you know. Now, see, Bob Dylan, I really resisted for a long time because, I don't know, his records sounded a bit kind of unfinished. It's like he just kind of did it. Now I appreciate that he just kind of couldn't be bothered to do it twice. He'd just do it and then do another one.
Yeah.
And the more I listen to him, the more I get into him. So in 10 years' time, I'll probably be he might have taken over from the rest. But I don't know why, I kind of resisted him for a long time. Maybe because everybody said he was the poet of rock and roll. So you kind of think, well, you know, who are you to tell me who the poet of rock and roll is? The record that got me into Bob Dylan is this record, which is mostly instrumental. So he's not really singing very much on this record at all. But another reason why I like records is the format of a record, of putting one side of a vinyl record on, you get maybe 20 minutes of music. And I think that's a really good, for me, CDs are too long. 70 minutes with one person, I'm not interested, you know, goodbye, I'm bored of you. 20 minutes with a person, fine. And if I want a bit more, I turn it over. This record, I think this is a great Sunday record. If you get up on a Sunday, you just want something on whilst you're kind of wandering around, maybe making yourself some breakfast. It's just like sets are nice. And it's also the best tambourine playing ever on a record in that speaker there. I thought we could have a listen to Nina Simone now, because she's done very good versions of Bob Dylan songs. And you were talking about, I know this isn't a new record, but this is an example of when I was doing my record show on the BBC, sometimes I ask people to suggest songs to play and stuff like that. And someone suggested this title track from this album, Baltimore, and I'd never heard it before. And I didn't really know that much about her until then. The only song I knew of hers was "My Baby Just Cares For Me," and I thought, ooh, I'm not that bothered about that. And then I realised that like there was all this other stuff that was like, that was kind of the most stupid song, and there's like amazing stuff. And this track is this is pretty weird because it's almost like getting towards Grace Jones kind of territory, you know, that kind of reggae kind of thing.
Beat up little seagull on a marble stand.
One of our early concerts, somebody said that a song sounded like the Velvet Underground. It didn't. It was probably just because it sounded a bit out of tune. And sometimes they sound a bit out of tune. So I went and bought a Velvet Underground record. I'd heard of them, but I'd never heard the music. And for me, that was a massive influence because you had a lot of things. You had like, you know, the thing of having like quite nice, quiet ballads and then loud songs. There was like, on the second album you had The Gift, which was just like music and then somebody telling a story. You had the violin, I mean, because Pulp, the original lineup, we had a violinist which kind of came from trying to copy that. So that had a massive influence on what I tried to write. And also the lyrics, you could write about things other than love you baby. This record's in a really bad state because I've had it for so long. It's had lots of drinks spilt on it and stuff like that. At the time, like the early 80s, when people were going on about the Velvet Underground, for some reason you couldn't really get their original records. They were very hard to find. So this compilation was one of the few records you could buy. So as you can see, they've tried to do the sleeve like the first one, but instead of a banana, you've just got a woman having some Coca-Cola. But it's funny because now if I'm at someone's house and they put the Velvet Underground first album on or White Light, White Heat or something, I always feel there's something wrong because this was the first time I heard all these songs. I got used to them being in this order. Bit dirty.
Can I?
And what costume shall the poor girl wear to all tomorrow's parties?
I mean, I think that's another good thing about records. Obviously, that record doesn't sound very good because it has had lots of drink spilt on it and whatever else. But it still plays, you know, with CDs, it's like you happen to kind of just touch it and then you've scratched it and then every time you put it on, it's like like that, it just won't work.
When midnight comes around.
French classical music here.
Johnny Hallyday. I don't want to say anything about Johnny Hallyday because I know that he's a national hero. I've never really got him. We've got Jacques Brel here. I know he's not French, he is Belgian. But look, we've got Gainsbourg here as well. Yeah. He's a national hero, isn't he, surely? Some guy who worked for EMI Records in England, and he put this track on, and he was kind of going, yeah, I mean, Serge Gainsbourg invented hip-hop in 1966 or something, you know, people say things like this. I said, oh yeah, whatever, yeah. And then it kind of was true.
Écoute les orgues, elles jouent pour toi. Il est terrible, cet air-là. J'espère que tu aimes, c'est assez beau, non? C'est le requiem pour un con. Ouais, je l'ai composé.
This is like a Gainsbourg set in a kind of in a carpet. It's like a Bible.
Exactly.
Chanson de 1958 à 1977.
Exactly.
Chosen by the Choisi par l'autre. Wow, this is quite something. So you've got a kind of lithograph etching of him. I didn't even know this existed. So you've got kind of like lyrics written by him, original manuscripts. I think that, you know, I was thinking the other day that somebody should try and do English translations of his lyrics. That they don't really exist in England, you know, for people to, because his reputation is so based on his lyrics here in France. So we're talking about lyrics, so for me, one of the masters of lyrics has got to be Leonard Cohen. This album divides Leonard Cohen fans because a lot of people feel that it's kind of, he sold out, he did it with Phil Spector. When we talked about his first album, you know, the thing that's amazing about that album is how quiet the instrumentation is on it, how bare, and how that makes you listen to the voice because there's very little around it. On this album, it's kind of the other way around. There's so much going on. It's a full Phil Spector wall of sound production with Leonard Cohen trying to make himself heard in the middle of it all. But that kind of friction between the words and the music was something that impressed me a lot when I heard this record.
I left a woman waiting.
Lyrically, this song as well is very brutal. This is kind of a guy singing this song to a former lover, and it's just very kind of brutal in the way that it deals with.
Your eyes are dead.
Music's very nice, and music's very kind of.
What happened to you, lover? What happened to you?
Thanks a lot, Jarvis.
Cheers. Thank you.
What happened to you, lover? What happened to you?
And since she spoke the truth to me,
be.